In the last episode, you heard from Alexandra Zadarain from 8 Sleep, who shared how they create partnerships with massive brands and figures to achieve growth and authority as an e-commerce brand. Today, on episode number 29, get ready. Jordan Nathan is the founder and CEO of Caraway. Caraway is a direct-to-consumer cookware brand that's seen tremendous growth in the past years. And yes, they're profitable too. And we'll be talking about how they utilize sets and bundles to lead their merchandising strategy. I'm your host, Raphael Paulin-Daigle, and I'm the founder of SplitBase. This is Minds of E-commerce. Now, this episode is brought to you by SplitBase. At SplitBase, we help leading DTC brands such as Dr Squatch, Hyperice, and Amica A/B test, design, build, and manage high-converting landing pages and on-site experiences. Our optimization program pinpoints exactly where your store is losing money most, and then we help you fix it. The result: increased conversions, AOV, and of course, improved marketing efficiency. With our team of conversion optimization specialists and performance marketers, conversion-focused designers, we've got your back when it comes to testing and optimization. Request a proposal on splitbase.com today to learn about how we can help you get the most out of your marketing spend. All right, Jordan, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you here.
Definitely. Super excited to chat today. Thanks for hosting.
Yes. And as you know, this podcast is really all about going deep and dissecting one key growth strategy that was key to your growth so our listeners can get as much value and actionable value right away. So just before we actually start talking about bundles and sets and how that's been working for you guys, just for some context, for how long have you been working on this brand?
Yeah, so Caraway launched November 2019, so almost 4 years ago. It took me about a year to get to market. So for myself, I've been working on it for about 5 years and started in mid-2018.
Amazing. And when we were chatting before we started recording, you mentioned that obviously you started as a D2C brand, but now you're heading into retail, correct?
That's right. Today we sell with over 15 retailers, both online and in store. I believe we're in around 800 retail locations. And then you can also find Caraway on Amazon, on platforms for registry like Zola, Joy, The Knot. And so, yeah, the brand's a lot more distributed than it was when we first launched.
Amazing. And for anyone listening, if you don't know the brand, I feel like at this point, this is a household name, at least in the DTC space. But you have to check out the products. They are beautiful. I have some old pans at home that I will definitely be replacing, and they look phenomenal. Now, let's get to the meat. Jordan, let's talk about sets and bundles. So you've mentioned sets and bundles have been really instrumental to the growth of the brand. Tell us a bit more about that, and then we'll dissect it.
Definitely. So when we launched Caraway 4 years ago, we actually only launched with our core offering, which is our cookware set. We didn't have singles. We actually didn't have intention of launching a la carte pieces. And I think one of the white spaces we saw in the market when we launched Caraway was there were a lot of sets in the market that are 10, 20, 30 pieces. You're not actually sure what you're getting. A lot of the market is built on a la carte where customers are kind of customizing their sets. And one of the opportunities we saw was to just make it really easy for consumers, have Caraway do the curation, talk with consumers before creating products, make sure everything that's in the set is intentional. It's not extra pieces just to get extra piece count in the name. And so we've led with the set-based strategy, and it's been really successful to date. We do sell singles today and have since rolled those out, but sets are really the bread and butter of our brand and what we market, what we merchandise, with singles being, there for adding pieces to your collection as you need.
And now, cookware is generally pretty expensive, right? We're still talking, I'm thinking of an AOV in the hundreds of dollars. When you guys started building the brand and started thinking around acquisition and all of that, I know what I hear from a lot of brands that want to do sets and bundles as, their main piece or main strategy. There's kind of two different school of thoughts. And on one side, you've got brands that says, hey, well, we're going to provide them with something great, but that's not expensive, going to lead to a higher conversion rate, which in your equivalent could be a single, right? And then hopefully they love the product enough that they come back and they easily convert into a bundle. In your case, it doesn't seem like that was the case, and you guys went straight to the bundle. But I'm curious, is that something that you guys thought of? Is that something that you guys experimented with, trying to use singles as like a tripwire into the brand?
Definitely. I think where sets have been great is, I think one of the things about the home and kitchen market is, you're not always in the market for these products. And when you are, you might be moving into a new home or apartment. You might be having, children and want something that's new and fresh and non-toxic. You might be going through the registry phase. And so buying sets, I think, is a really great match for what consumers are looking for, where they don't need to kind of curate their sets. And one of the things from a business model perspective about why we love sets is you can get a customer in at a high price. You can achieve profitability on that first purchase. You get all the cash flow in at once versus waiting for it. And so there's a lot of those attributes that we like about the sets. I think from the start of the brand to where we are now, we do sell singles. And I think one of our learnings and something we're still looking to dive deeper into is how does a customer journey of a set customer or from a single customer? Because I think what we're noticing is that there are individuals who just want to buy a piece or two and not upgrade into the set, I think, but our general marketing practices, we want to get people into the set just because the economics work a bit better than having to wait for the cash flow for a future purchase and, get a higher AOV on site.
Totally. Did you find, what was kind of the overall reaction like when you guys launched? And I saw some of your landing pages, everything's really set-based. Or I'm looking at your website right now, like every category that you click on, it's a set first, right? How are you deciding which sets to promote? I know in the beginning, maybe there was just a couple, but you still have a lot of different singles. How have you been experimenting and trying to figure out what's the right combination of products? How, those sets could vary from $1,000 to maybe $300. So how do you determine what's best?
Definitely. So every category we launch, today we have cookware, bakeware, food storage, knives and utensils, and each one of those categories has a hero set. Our average R&D time is about 3 years. We take a lot of time to build each product. We do a lot of surveying to customers on, hey, you bought these other sets from other brands. Are you actually using all the pieces? What are the most important to you?
Okay.
And as a brand philosophy, we don't want to just put things out into the world that people aren't using. And we want to make sure that everything that comes in your set is really intentional and will be used. And so we do a ton of work on curation and making sure those sets have exactly everything the average customer needs. And so we do push those. One of the evolutions of the brand that happened a year or two ago was the creation of this, what we call duos, which is kind of like our mini set where we'll launch kind of mini sizes of some of the larger sets. Sometimes it's different sizes and capacity. Other times it's just less pieces. But when you come into the brand, you can buy kind of our hero set, or if you don't need all those pieces, we kind of survey out and see what's the next customer demographic that might live in a New York City kitchen alone and doesn't need, 4 pots and pans and might just want 2 small ones. And so we lead with the sets, we have the minis, and then a la carte's there for anyone who wants the individual pieces.
Amazing. Do you create landing pages for each of those sets? How do you decide what to put money behind specifically?
We do. So across most of our acquisition spend, pretty much all spend goes into sets. The only place where we are majorly advertising singles is in search-based platforms. So if you're on Google and you're searching for fry pan or knife set or, baking sheets, we do put spend behind that. Same thing on Amazon or Target.com that are search-based platforms. When it comes to Meta, TV, podcast, direct mail, what have you, we always push our sets as the entry point into the brand. Our sets are curated to really fit anyone's needs with the perfect amount of pieces, and a very different approach from other categories and brands where, want you to have everything at once versus kind of building up to it. And that's our core strategy. And one of the things you'll notice too with our sets is as a brand, we don't discount very much. We normally have about sale moments per year. One is during holidays, which you'll see on the site today, and typically a mid-year summer event around Prime Day. And so as you approach the site and are looking for value, our sets always come with a set savings. So if you were to buy the individual pieces, it costs more, and the sets are a great way to get some savings on the products on the website.
Amazing. I love that you guys actually just fully leaned into the sets. One, you do have a product that it's pretty natural to do so, even though I'm sure a lot of brands in that vertical don't even do that. But I can think of so many other brands. You're thinking of your products as here's a solution to your cooking, right? And here's the one solution with everything you need. And I think so many other brands could think that way as well. Like I'm thinking, skincare brands that are selling concern-specific products. Instead of selling a bunch of different products that can help with dry skin or acne or whatever. Just sell the whole routine, try those bundles, try those sets. When you build a landing page, try selling entire sets first instead of just going with a single product that's going to have a lower AOV, right?
Definitely. All of our sets come with some type of storage solution. That's part of, I think what makes Caraway special is a lot of our design process and R&D is, yes, you cook with these items, but 99% of the time they're sitting in your cabinets and, are disorganized. And so we really take this like systems-based approach to product design where everything in the sets are designed to work together. Every category, cross-category are designed to work together. And, the storage is a nice element to pull everything together so that they can all store really nicely and you don't have a hodgepodge of things just sitting in your cabinets.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that storage aspect is what I like to call a unique mechanism, right? It's like, hey, not only do we have great pans and pots and cookware, but if you're looking at competitors that may say the same thing, well, ours actually come with great storage as well. And it gives you that little edge on top, which I think is pretty neat. Now, Jordan, I'm curious, what have you seen are the biggest challenges with having this type of strategy?
Yeah, I think the obvious is it's a higher price point. So, especially when we were launching the brand 4 years ago, we had no reviews, there was no press, to trust a brand new product in the market with zero kind of reviews or organic word of mouth on it. I think that was a big hurdle to convince customers to spend $400 out of the gate on a brand new brand. And so, I think that still exists today. Some customers don't want to spend that amount up front. And especially when you're on a lot of direct response platforms like Meta or, TV, a lot of those are impulse purchases. And most impulse purchases are typically at the lower end of the price range. So I think that dynamic exists, but you'll see on our site today, we have, I think, 60,000 plus reviews across all of our products. We really lean into the consumer sentiment, the reviews to help people get over that hurdle. We've also introduced a 30-day trial. So if you buy the product and you don't love it, you can return it for any reason, no questions asked, and allow it to be a less risky purchase.
Amazing. I'd love to know, like, when you think of bundles and sets, like you currently have sets, you said next year you're going to start focusing a little more on bundles as well. What's kind of the future of that? Like are we thinking customizable sets, quizzes that helps people build their own sets? What do you think is kind of the future for you guys?
Yeah, so the next year or two, and if you go to our site today, you'll see a bundle section. Unsurprisingly, we see a lot of cross-category bundling across our sets, singles. And so we're starting to merchandise new bundles that we're finding from, consumer analytics that we're doing on the back end. Kind of the next phase of this is launching more bundles on site, but also leveraging our retail partners and marketplaces. At the end of the day, too much merchandising on site, I think, is extremely confusing. And so being omni-channel allows us to offer unique and special bundles within different marketplaces or retailers. And then to your point, there is a reason the brand's called Caraway Home is, our goal is to expand to the home, full home and kitchen over time. And part of that experience, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we want customers come into Caraway. We're actually helping you design your full kitchen through, a digital experience and giving you opportunities, as you kind of scale up and add more to your cart, possibly getting savings or loyalty points, whatever it may be, but really working towards filling your full kitchen with Caraway products.
Amazing. You said something interesting. You said we want to make sure we don't have too many options and confuse customers, which I think is a problem with any brand. As they start to grow, they start adding SKUs. I literally wrote a post on LinkedIn about that yesterday. And then all of a sudden people are confused. They don't know what's best for them. So what's your strategy for potentially reducing confusion or helping people compare with sets? How do you reduce confusion at the end of the day when you are selling a lot of different sets that all contain pretty similar products?
I think it's really focusing on the UI UX of the website, and that the nav bar, I think, is critical, and surfacing, hey, here are the 1, 2, 3 items in this category you should be focused on. And then, having like a shop all button if you want to go deeper. Actually, funny enough, I say that, and our site's shifted a little bit more towards kind of a grid of all of our products. And we've been doing a lot of testing and still have a lot more A/B tests to run. But I think critically surfacing those top products before anyone gets to the rest of the assortment is important. And if you go through our homepage or about page, our story, landing pages you land on from a meta ad, as you noted before, we're typically only surfacing those sets. And so kind of having those as the main marketing message, I think is really important.
Totally. And again, like you guys really emphasize those, like I'm seeing here kind of the nav bar. My screen is a little smaller right now, so it's probably the mobile version, but it focuses on bestseller and then new, and then you have the all products, right? You have those major sets. You know, if you were to start this brand all over again, what would you do differently?
From a merchandising perspective, I think it was great that we launched with sets. I think was a big reason we drove success of that product, and it's still our main hero today. It took us about a year to roll out singles. I wish we had a little like a cheaper product to get into the brand at the start to kind of, you know, get people into tests. So might be like rolling that out sooner, you know, I'd say is one learning on the merchandising front.
Amazing. How much are you using, I'm curious, singles as upsells to the main sets? Is that something that you're doing actively?
Quite a bit. And one of the things we've done this past year is we're starting to go deeper in existing categories that are successful. So we launched our Squareware line, which is like a square-inspired cookware set. And so what's really cool now that we can do is if we know someone who's buying a cookware set comes back and buys baking sheets or our grill pan, or trying to surface those products that we know are typically bought together to get customers into those singles of the other categories that they're not buying the set from. We also sell linens, which, funny enough, we launched not to actually sell. We launched them as a product to kind of have a gift with purchase and toss in the cart. And, you know, there are other accessories we're working on that purely exist to just add to the cart or get you to convert, you know, as a gift with purchase.
Awesome. Jordan, we've got about 2 minutes left. So 2 quick questions for you. One, what's your one piece of advice that you'd have for a brand that isn't necessarily doing a lot of sets and bundling, but they want to get into it? What's that number one piece of advice for them?
I think serving customers, friends, family is critical. I think bundling's great. I think what's in the bundle is more important. And I think one of the challenges of bundling is you're selling the set, but you also need to sell all the pieces within it, right? And share the value of why that set's worth spending the price point. And so I think taking the time to really curate what's in the set, make sure every piece is intentional, has a purpose for being there. And then when it comes to the marketing side, the education on the value is really important and why someone should spend up for that, and explaining why each piece exists and what their function is within the ecosystem of that set.
Amazing. Great advice. Now, I always ask this question at the end. Who do you look up to? Who's a mentor? Who's one person or two that you're like, oh, you know, or a brand that you really admire?
Yeah, probably a super boring answer, but we love Apple here at Caraway. You know, I think we view ourselves very similarly in terms of how we approach design. I think the attention to detail, the thoughtfulness, the ability to create products that work together, we really love. And so, you know, I think it's a brand we often reference, and hope Caraway's in that same vein longer term.
Amazing. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed this conversation. Now, if people want to learn more about you or the brand, where should they go?
You can check us out at carawayhome.com. You can find us on Amazon. If you want to head to your local Target, Crate and Barrel, or Container Store, you can also check us out in person.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Raphael.